Or that was the foxhole one.
That was the foxhole one. But
All right, welcome to everybody out there. This is Amateur Radio Roundtable. I'm Tom Medlin, W5KUB, and we've got the whole gang with us tonight. Now, we have got a loaded show here for you tonight. I know some of you guys are wondering what's going on here. We have made some changes to the show, and there's some good reasons we did that. I'll explain those in just a few minutes. Just want to again welcome everybody out there. Wonder if we have any new people. Are there any new people that have joined us tonight? I'm looking at the chat room. If you're new tonight, just say hello in there and say, "Hey, this is my first time." We'd love to see who you are and welcome you back each week. The show is also broadcast on world famous international shortwave station WBCQ, Monticello, Maine, on 74.9, and that is every Thursday. You can hear the show every Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So we'd love to hear from you if you're out there on shortwave right now. We'd like to hear from you, where you are, how you found the show. Give us a signal report. Send us an email to Tom at W5KUB.com, Tom at W5KUB.com. And we'd love to hear from you. Yeah, I'm trying to read the chat room. I see there's some new people in there while I'm talking, so I'm trying to do two things at once here. We didn't have a 40-meter net tonight. I had some activities going on here at home, which I needed to be involved in, so I didn't have the net tonight. And if it would have been anything like the last couple of weeks, the band's pretty bad, I thought. Let's see what else is going on. If you are out there listening on WBCQ, you can join our show live every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on W5KUB.com. Just go to W5KUB.com and click on a little button that says Chat and Video, and that'll take you to our video page, and the chat room should come up automatically there and log you in automatically, so you can participate in the chat there. I also want to invite everybody to join our Facebook group. Our Facebook group is really growing. We've got about 11,200 members now in our Facebook group. It's strictly ham radio. It's not personal. So just do a search on Facebook for W5KUB, and join that. We'd love to have you. Also, if you're watching tonight and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have, in the last 6 years, we have never marketed or branded our show to be on YouTube. We've always branded it as W5KUB, and we've always ran the video pop out on our own website. And what we're realizing is we're missing a lot of people. People don't subscribe, so we have no idea what our real subscription numbers are out there. So I'd love to see you subscribe to us tonight. I'd love to see what the numbers are after the show tonight. So please, right now, if you can, just go down here and find that subscribe button, just hit it, and it will let you know anytime we come on live. And sometimes we do have special live things that come on at unscheduled times. So would love to have you to subscribe there. Let's jump around and see who we got out there tonight. And We're going to let's go to Katie first. I saw Katie up here. Let me go to Katie. Let me get there. You go. Hey, Katie, can you hear me way out there?
Hello, Tom. Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Well,
hi, everybody.
Hang on a second. For some reason,
Make me bigger.
So for some reason, there we go. I thought you had popped in live here. I mean, full screen. But how you doing, Katie? We missed you the last couple of weeks. What have you been doing?
I have been making Christmas presents for my grandkids. So every day I come home from work and I've been crocheting. I've been making stuffed animals and things like that. So I pretty much all of my spare time has been doing things like that. So
yeah.
I'm glad to be back though, and just in time wearing my festive shirt, my snowman earrings today, but you can't see those. But just want to say Happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas to everyone, and I hope everyone is staying safe and as healthy as you possibly can.
Yeah, your audio's dropping a little bit. But anyway, hey, glad to have you. But hey, you could just take Dwayne's money or your money and buy something. You wouldn't have to make it. Look how quick that would be.
It would be, but it's more fun, and hopefully these critters that I've made, the kids will keep forever, you know?
Yeah, well.
But he can buy me something.
I'm waiting to see what you send us or me here. I still got a few days.
Keep waiting.
Nothing's been in the mail yet. Hey, do you have any snow out there?
Yeah, it's actually just starting. When I drove home from work tonight, it was really windy and horizontal snow, and it's dropping. So we're supposed to get quite a little storm tonight into tomorrow, but then it's supposed to be nice weather after that. So nothing too major, nothing like what everybody on the East Coast got hit with up in New England. Boy, they got hammered up there. I don't know if Alan got it down in New Jersey also, but geez, I have family up in New England, and they really got nailed with it.
Wow. Okay. Well, you always get a lot of snow out there. We usually don't get anything here. So.
Right.
All right. All right. So, well, let's jump on over to who's next out there. Who wants to be next out there? Let's see who's brave and jumps in.
I don't see anybody raising their hands.
I figured Glen would jump in here.
I volunteer Alan.
Okay.
There we go. There's Alan.
There's Alan. Hey. Good evening. Hello, everybody. It's good to be back. Sorry I missed you all last week. And good to see you back again, Katie. It's been a while. And snow, we did get some. We got between 6 and 8 here, some drifts to about 18, but nothing near what everybody got further north. I know like Binghamton, New York got like 40 inches or something like that. We got between 6 and 8, and it was a pretty dense snow, so it was still pretty heavy to clear. But we had a little bit of rain that kind of got mixed in and sleet, and that kind of packed it down a little bit. So it only took me a couple hours to clear with the snow blowers to get the driveways clear and the sidewalk down to my neighbors, and then I do everybody's apron on the street. So it's but got through all that. So anyway, it's good to be back. We got a couple of interesting topics we can talk about tonight. I'll just pick one of them because I know we've got a full boat here tonight. But glad to be back, and again, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas coming up this week, and we'll send it back to you, Tom.
Okay, well, thank you.
Sorry for the odd camera angle. I'm obviously not in my home office. I'm now in my shack, and I don't have a computer at my radios.
I was going to say that you're not looking at the camera that the red light is on right now. Yeah, there you go.
I only have one camera. It's over there, but my monitor's over here. Radios are over there. So
I have the same problem here. All right, well, let's go out to I don't know, Glen. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was doing some other stuff when you made the first call. It's time for somebody else to go first.
Okay. Well, how you doing, man?
Tired.
You got your book finished. You got your book finished, right?
Finished it yesterday. I uploaded the last little pieces, and today I'm doing little odds and ends to get the website ready to load everything up on it. And so it's all in ARRL's hands right now.
We need that applause meter, Tom.
We need an applause.
Yeah, we need an applause. He finally finished his Fuck.
Well, let's see if we can do
Let's
that.
have one.
Let's see if we can do that.
I think it turned out really good. So we will see. So far, my editor hadn't said anything bad, so I guess it's okay.
All right, looking forward to seeing it there. Hey, we got Jason back with us tonight. You know, Jason was on here kind of regular with us a while, and then this guy is so busy with all the other YouTube stuff, we kind of got separated. But we've kind of talked him into coming back on here with us, so we hope to have you more often. Jason, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing fine. Tom, how you guys been?
Well, we're doing pretty good, man. Glad to have you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the invite. Looking forward to being back here and just talking about everything you guys do over here. So I like the new format. It's looking good. The 130 so watchers on YouTube. That's a good number, man. So doing well, I think.
Yeah, I think it's starting off good tonight. I'm pleased with it, and we're going to do a lot to try to make it better. And we're gonna count on you to help us.
Okay.
You're the expert there, man. I think you got a lot of. I was looking today. I think you got like 57,000 subscribers out there, man.
Yeah.
That's almost everybody in the United States, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Shit.
No, not quite.
That's at least one per state.
Yeah, it's at least one per state, one person per state. Yeah, two for Wyoming, I guess. So
well, we want to do that ourselves. So I'm gonna get with you, and we're gonna figure out how to make that happen. Now,
okay.
All right. So hey, have I forgot anybody? Let's see. Let me see that. Well, I think we got everybody, hadn't we? If I left you out, speak up. Nobody. Okay. Hey, let's talk first. Hey, Katie, let's see. Did you join a new club or something, Katie, or are you doing FT8, or what's going on there with you, Katie?
Well, no, we're. I just, I haven't been on the air for a while, and this weekend played a little bit on 160 meter. Made a couple dozen QSOs on FT8. That was kind of cool. And then trying to help out my friend Mike KC5hwb on. He's trying to get a 12 meter QSO to Wyoming to finish his 10 band worked all states. So we tried that on Sunday. Even tried MSK 144, just thinking maybe there's a rock out there that we can hook them up with, but hasn't happened as of yet. So we're going to keep working on that. And Dwayne and I have been talking about trying to create a club up here in our area. We've got 53 licensed hams just in our little county alone. So Dwayne's been talking to a local ham who's just gotten reinvigorated in ham radio, and they've been on the phone a lot and on the phone here in the shack and doing a lot. And he's really excited to get some more people involved. So he said, all right, we need to stop talking about this and just do it. So we've got a letter drafted up out to all of the local hams and inviting them to, we're going to do a Zoom meeting in January to talk about getting some activities up and running here for ham radio operators and hopefully get some interest so that we can do some, once we could do some in-person stuff, hopefully this spring, we could, find out various topics that people are interested. But we know there's a lot of hams here that have never gotten on the air. So we're going to see what we can do and get rolling. I'm not too worried about the logistics of it being like a club. We just want to get people on the air and figuring out what they can do with the hobby. So we're just going to start simple and see where it goes. So yeah, finally glad we've been talking about it for quite a while, and life always seems to get in the way, but right after Christmas, the letters are going in the mail. Wait till the rush of that is over with so the letters don't get lost in the piles of stuff. So So yeah, that's pretty much what we've been. And Dwayne's been reorganizing and working on more of the automation here in the shack and consolidating the power. We got a one of the rig, actually a couple of rig runners, the West Mountain Radio rig runners, and up on the stack. So in the stack over there, we've got all of our power supplies. So they're we're getting stuff off of the tables here, where the desks are, and the third desk is our satellite station. Going to work on that as well, and then a lot of the automation has gone out to the towers, so we were able to get that work done this fall as well. So looking forward to spending lots of cold winter days down here in the warm shack. So things are really coming along. It's kind of fun.
How deep does your snow get there during the winter?
Usually about, I don't know, about waist high in the backyard. Yeah.
How deep?
Probably, I don't know, a few feet usually.
Oh, man.
3 to 5 is pretty average.
So do you just stay home when it happens, or do they get the roads clear?
Well, not anymore that I have a job outside of the house.
Yeah.
But no, actually, I mean, the thing is, everybody who lives here, you're used to it. So the plows are out relatively early. And if it's really bad, you just wait and go in a little later, give the plows time to get things done. And we have a 4-wheel drive vehicle, and unless, like I said, we don't get a lot of the ice, so it's just a lot of snow. And I've been out here for 12 years now, and 11 years, something like that.
Well, I need
12 years.
I need to get me a 4-wheel drive here. I mean, at least once or twice a year, we get about a quarter of an inch here, and it is tough.
I know, that's devastating for you guys.
It is tough, man. Yeah,
the same thing for Jason. You guys get snow. You're not. You guys aren't built for that down there.
It's tough, man. It's tough.
Snow once every 4 years.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, Katie, hey, thanks. And hey, guys, the year is almost over. We're gonna think of a big show for next week if you're still going to attend. I hope everybody can make it. We'll just have a fun show next week. We won't plan anything major, but we'll just see what everybody can come up with, okay? And BYOB, I guess, just to the show. Hey, just real quick. Hey, Katie, thanks a lot for sharing it with us. Hey, let me show you. I got a couple cards in the mail this week. I don't know if it's going to show or not. The WF4 special event station and Bill Mims, W2WCM, sent this card to me. He was on a show a couple weeks ago. This is the special event station, and it's actually happening between the 18th and the 24th. So you have a couple more days to work this. And this is a commemoration of the guy that sent the first voice message across wireless. And he did that in 1906. Prior to that, everything was CW, but that's cool right here. So try to work that special event if you can there.
Tom,
all right. What was that? What, Alan?
Yeah, your algorithm there that kind of replaces, does your virtual background. It makes the WF4F look transparent. You can see right through it. It looked like the letters were cut out on that card.
Yeah, it's the green screen.
Yeah, well, I knew that was happening, so I was going to try to.
Green screen.
I was going to try to fake it out somehow.
It's kind of cool though.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
I was in a meeting yesterday, and one of the folks was like, he was trying to show off whatever beverage it was he was drinking. I don't remember the name of it. It wasn't something I was familiar with, but he's trying to show it, and he had this really neat Christmas background. So he's, his hand and his arm, everything just disappeared. And I'm like, Bill, just put it in front of you. And he's like, finally gets it in front of his. I'm like, you got to put it in front of your body. And then he saw it, and I'm like, I still don't know what you've got.
All right. Well, hey, Alan, you got something for us tonight?
Yeah, I got. I thought of two topics, and I guess the one that I thought I'd talk about, just a short topic, is linear versus switch mode power supplies.
Hey, that might be a good one. Nearly everybody has one of each.
Yeah. So I thought I'd actually put two quick little slides together. If you wanted to give me the ability to share.
I think you already got it, don't you?
Let me see. No, I don't. You got in the Zoom. You got to give me permission.
Well, I did it. I don't know why, but
Yeah, now I got it there. Let me go see where. Should be able to see this guy right here now, right?
yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I just thought I'd talk about the differences. What's good and bad about each one, and we can maybe even have a discussion about them. Linear power supplies. What a lot of us use. I've got like most people, I've got one of each here in the shack. The thing with the linear power supplies, people like them because they're quiet, right? They say, well, they don't create any RF noise, no RF hash, things like that. A linear power supply is really pretty simple by design, right? It's just a big step-down transformer into a bridge rectifier, some filtering, some kind of voltage regulator to create your regulated output voltage. It's a simple design, low noise. There's no high frequency anything going on in there. But the biggest downsides is that they're big and heavy, right? And they're big and heavy because, number one, because it's high power, right? You need 20 amps or more to run your rigs and things like that. But the biggest reason is because they operate at, in the US here at 60 hertz and other parts of the world at 50 hertz. And the lower you go in frequency, the larger the transformer cores have to be, so in order that they don't saturate, under those high power conditions. So you're kind of stuck with that big heavy power supply due to the transformer. The other downside to them is they're pretty inefficient, right? The regulator is essentially a series pass element that the voltage drop across it will vary, just to ensure that the output voltage stays constant. And because there's a voltage drop across the regulator and there's a current going through the regulator, that voltage times that current means power. So if you had a 20 amp power supply, you're running, say, 20 amps, and there's 3 volts across that regulator is going to dissipate 60 watts. So it's got to be bolted to a big heat sink, so it gets hot. So the linear power supplies, they're simple, they're low noise, but they're heavy, and they're inefficient, and they get hot. But a lot of people still stick with them because they're tried and true, and they work. Right, so that's why that linear power supply is big and heavy. It's mainly because of that transformer. Okay. Now the switching power supplies. Let me kind of scroll down to that. Switching power supplies a little bit different in terms of design, and they're generally the rectification from AC to DC happens maybe even in some cases even before any kind of step down. Maybe right from the line, sometimes a little bit of a step down, and then filtered. You generally have got a higher voltage DC that you're starting with, okay, as opposed to stepping right down to 13.8 or something like that. They're stepping down to some higher DC voltage. And part of the good thing about that is, again, we're looking at how much power we can deliver, right? Power is just voltage times current. So if we can start off with a higher voltage, we can need less current, so that some of the current requirements for the input rectifier can be lower because we're just talking about creating enough power here. We don't have to have that rectifier at the front end be able to withstand 20, 30 amps type of thing. So again, smaller and lighter from that standpoint. But the biggest difference is that what happens is we take this higher voltage DC, and then there's some kind of a switching device. They may switch anywhere from as low as maybe 5 kilohertz up to 50 kilohertz or more, switching at much higher frequencies than the 50 or 60 hertz that we use on line power. And that has a dramatic effect on the necessary transformer core size or inductor core size, depending on the architecture. There are many different architectures for switching power supplies. I drew one here using a transformer because that's very similar to what you'd see in a linear supply, so that's why I put that there. But if that's running at 15, 20 kilohertz, the transformer can be much smaller. The iron losses are going to be much less. You don't have to worry about saturation. So the iron losses the iron can be a lot smaller. The core can be smaller, and that's why these switching power supplies are really light, right? Because they don't have a big honking power transformer in them because of operating at this higher frequency. And there's then that's followed by a rectifier and filter. Even that filter cap can be smaller, because what happens, instead of that capacitor being charged up, twice every line cycle, it's charged up, 20 or 30,000 times a second. So it's charged up with much more often. So there's less of an opportunity for it to droop, less ripple that you get. So the output filtering capacitor is generally smaller, so that makes the power supply smaller again. And there's basically a feedback control loop that basically adjusts, usually a pulse width modulating the switching device in order to regulate the voltage at the output. Okay, so the nice thing about the switching power supplies, they're smaller and lighter. They're much, much higher efficiency, because unlike the linear supply where you've got this linear regulator that's dissipating power because of that current, the switching device is always either on or off. So it's either off, obviously it's not dissipating any power when it's off, and when it's on like a switch. So it doesn't have a voltage drop across it. So you're not losing a lot of power in that switching device. You're really just taking advantage of the energy stored in the transformer or inductor to essentially supply that power out to the output filter network. And you're not regulating essentially the voltage by regulating the voltage across a switching device. You're just controlling its duty cycle. So again, much smaller, much lighter. They are more complex, all right? It's one of the downsides. There's more circuitry involved. And I would say that people say, well, they're noisy. There's the potential for HF noise. And the reality is that if you buy a switching power supply from a reputable manufacturer that's designed for amateur radio or radio use, there's a lot of effort that's put into the design of that to mitigate any of the problems that might come from the high frequency switching. And I've used probably a half a dozen different manufacturers switching power supplies over the last 40 years. Well, maybe not 40 because they weren't really around 40 years ago, but over the last probably 20 years anyway. And I've never really ever run into an issue with noise and the radio. I did have one unit years ago, I don't remember whose it was, that actually had an audible noise that I could hear. It was probably running at 5 kilohertz, and I could hear a whine in it. But that was many, many years ago. The one I've got in my shack right now is an Alinco, the DM330. And it's super quiet, 32 amp, runs everything just beautifully. And what's interesting about the Alinco, it actually has a little control on it that allows you to move and slightly adjust the switching frequency of the switching device. So if you ever did find a birdie or a little noise source coming from the power supply, you could move it so it's not on the frequency you're operating on. But in all the years that I've been using this power supply, I've never had that problem. But the control is there in case you ever did run into that. And then there was just a review, I think, just a few months ago in QST on a couple of switching power supplies, and they all work really well. So I think years ago there was a lot of kind of negative, comments that came out because of the switching supplies, because of noise and things like that, and hash. But anything that's used in the shack that's designed to be used with radios is really quiet. You're more likely to get noise and interference off of the little wall wart chargers and things like that you have for your cell phones and your laptops and things like that than you are for a high power switching supply that you might use to power up your rigs. And that's where I find I get most of my switching power supply noises from these cheap little wall wart power supplies that we've got all over the place, not from the main shack power supply. So that was that. I just want to kind of share a little bit about power supplies, maybe get a little discussion going. Haven't been watching the chat to see if there was any questions or anything that came in with that. But I just thought that was an interesting topic, and interested to hear what everybody else is running in their shacks as well.
I did see a question pop up, Alan. John asked, can you put a 2 or 3 pole filter on the output of the switching supply?
You certainly can, but really whether or not it will help depends on really where the noise is coming from, right? Because there's a potential that a switching power supply could be injecting noise back onto the AC line, and then radiation off of that line might be what you're picking up in the radio. So putting a filter at the output may not help that, right? So like I said, many years I've never had any problems with them, but I'm sure that folks have. And there are ways of trying to filter each end if you are seeing something like that.
I've got a jet stream here that Roger at R&L Electronics sent me to review, and it's got that little controller pod on it to change the frequency. I've really never had any problems hearing any interference on the radio, so I can't tell if that little frequency slider does much good for me, but it's there, I guess. It can help you in some cases.
Yeah, I've got, like I said, the Alinco one that I have has got that same control. I've never had to use it, but I never went searching for any birdies or noise. But I never ran into a situation where I had it. I sure wish I had that little knob on my neighbor's TV, because I can certainly hear that on my radio. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh man. Well, hey, that's great. You know, I love I've got an Astron large, linear power supply. I love it.
Yeah.
It is rock solid. And it's easy to fix when it breaks.
Right. Yeah.
Basically, it's got past transistors, maybe a little regulator. The switching supplies are a little bit more difficult to work on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They definitely are trickier. They're because there's a number of different designs. I mean, every other linear power supply is based on the same type of regulators, like an LM723 or some other 3-terminal regulator or something else, custom built or whatever. But they're all pretty basic and simple. Whether they've got current limiting or not, might add a little complexity to it. But the switch mode power supplies, there's a lot of different architectures, a lot of different controller ICs, and some of the component selections can be tricky because it's a feedback system. Anything that can throw some monkey wrench into the feedback network could affect its operation. But well-designed supplies will work well, and if you've got to repair them, you just replace them with the same parts that the original manufacturer designed in.
Hey, Alan.
Yeah.
We have one of those Alinco.
You're going to have to speak up a little bit, Glen. Speak
I
up.
bet. Okay, I got to eat the microphone.
Yeah, there you go.
We had one of those Alinco power supplies, and I couldn't stand the fan noise. Not just the ambient fan noise, keeping that thing cool. And what I did is I popped it open and I put a 5-watt resistor, and I can't remember the ohmage, but the resistance, but I put it across the temperature switch. They come on and off.
Yeah.
And the fan run constantly at half speed, and it never came on again full blast. And I was happy with that. So that was one of the problems that I had with the thing, was just the ambient noise in the shack of that fan running.
Yeah. Well,
that's a good idea. I mean, it's funny because I've got on the Alinco, I don't know that I can remember even hearing that fan come on because I listen a lot more than I transmit. But one of the rigs I run on a linear supply on that is a Kenwood was a PS30 or 33 or something there, and that one that's got the same kind of thing, a thermostatic controlled fan, and that one's loud. But maybe I ought to go in and do what you did, is make it run at half speed continuously instead of full speed intermittently, and probably be a lot better.
And I guess you could actually do that by just going in series with a fan. You wouldn't have to actually mess with the temperature sensor. Just make that fan run half
I guess
speed.
by doing it by doing it continuously, then you're always keeping a constant airflow. Whereas if you put it in series with the switch, when it comes on, it's not at full speed and it may not cool efficiently.
Right.
Or what you do is use an Arduino and pulse width modulate the fan drive and put a temperature sensor, but try finding room in an Alinco to stick that in.
Yeah, well, yeah. This is when your speed control becomes more complex than your power supply.
Oh man,
Exactly.
Yeah, but Glen wants to put an Arduino on it. Let me tell you something though. I was in a Facebook group the other day, and a bunch of new guys, and they're talking about, has anybody put a water cooler on their mobile rig? I don't know about that, man.
Well, now at field day one year, we had the sun shining right on the final amp on the Kenwood 520 I was using, or something like that, 575. It was a Kenwood rig, and the sun hit it right in the middle of summer afternoon and kept shutting us down. And we actually ended up putting a fan to blow on the back of the rig, because I'm sitting there on 20 meters just pounding out contacts.
Yeah, actually, I had a question in here from Charlie. Would a combination of step-down transformer at the line frequency and a switching regulator be a better solution? Yeah, Charlie, one of the issues you run into is the further you step down closer to your final voltage, the higher the current is going to have to be, and that's going to that's going to be the other factor that dictates the beefiness of the transformer. So if you can step down to a higher voltage at lower current, then you can get the benefit of a little bit smaller transformer, and then do the switching down from there. And that's often what a lot of the designs are. Is Some might rectify right at the line. Some might step down to some other DC voltage, 50, 60, 80 volts, something like that, instead of stepping all the way down. So the current is a lot lower, and then doing the switch mode from that point on.
Yeah, and talking about your noisy wall warts and stuff, again, we were at Winter Field Day one year. We had all the stations set up, and we could hear absolutely nothing. I mean, there was just broadband noise on every band, and we tracked it down. We were ready to shut down and give up and go home. And we tracked it down to a wall wart that powered one of the Dell laptops we used for logging.
Yep.
Swap that out.
Those things are.
We were good to go, but it shut everything down across every band we had.
I've got one here. I'm trying to find an 80 meters that comes on for about 30 seconds, goes off for 30 seconds, comes on for 30 seconds. And I'm not sure if it's in my house or if it's in my neighbor's house, but I've got like an S9 noise level on 80 meters now that comes and goes. I need to figure out before I can even operate there again, but it might be something like that.
All right. Well, hey, we
Question in the chat room there. What kind of noise would you expect to see using a boost converter?
Well, I mean, whether it's a boost or a buck, the source of that noise is going to be the same. A boost converter just means that you're going from a lower voltage and creating a higher voltage. A buck converter is just going the other way around. But at the end of the day, the switching characteristics and the control circuits are essentially the same. So I would expect probably the same type of noise if it was improperly designed. So,
and I've got a thought here on Dwayne's fan issue, and this would also work in any other issue like that. This current book actually has a project using a Peltier cooler chip, and you could put that inside the power supply and replace the fan, because those things get absolutely cold.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's cold on one side and hot on the other. You still got to dissipate the power somewhere, right?
You're going to dissipate that heat somewhere, yeah.
You're just moving it to a different place is what you're doing.
Yeah, but you can do it. Yeah, I know. But I found that really fun to do because, I mean, I was getting 20 degrees on one side and, nearly 200 degrees on the other side of that little chip.
Yeah. Yeah, those are pretty cool little devices. I said we used to use little tiny ones back when I had a real job. I was working on some semiconductor lasers. We actually just had a very small TE cooler inside to basically frequency tune the lasers.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, hey, thanks, Alan, for sharing that. That was a good segment tonight. We all have those power supplies, and it's good to know the differences there.
All right, cool.
All right, hey, Glenn, have you got a little something you want to share with us tonight?
Yeah, let me do this. I was hoping.
Well, hang on a second before you do it. Just get it ready, okay? Get it ready. We'll be back here in just a second. Ham for the holidays. ICOM's new ID52A and the IC705 give hours of fun and enjoyment working your favorite bands this holiday season. ICOM's newest handheld amateur radio is the ID52A. Larger radio, larger color display, and a louder audio. This VHF-UHF digital receiver is much more than a replacement for the ID51A. It's also a new way of communicating. The multifunction D-band D-Star transceiver supports DR mode for easy access to local repeaters based on internal GPS information. The ID52A also has Bluetooth for audio and data control. And for the first time in the amateur radio industry, you can now send photos from a connected Android device. Other features include wideband receiver with guaranteed range of 144 to 148 and 440 to 450 megahertz, integrated GPS including grid square location, a micro USB for data transfer, programming, and charge, and it's IPX7 waterproof. The ID52A is a perfect companion to the IC705. Both use compatible batteries and headsets. And you can also use the same Android app for D-Star operation. The IC705 is a perfect sidekick for hams that like to enjoy both the indoors and outdoors. It's a perfect QRP companion and covers HF 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. This compact rig weighs in at about just 2 pounds. It has a 4.3-inch touch screen with live band scope and waterfall. And you get 5 watts with the BP272, and you get 10 watts with the 13.8 volt DC. It has a micro USB connector, Bluetooth, and WLAN, integrated GPS with antenna and GPS logger, and it comes with a speaker microphone standard. The perfect accessory for the IC705 is the optional LC192 backpack. It has a special compartment for all of your accessories. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios.
LDG Electronics provides state-of-the-art antenna tuners for every amateur need. From QRP to QRO, fixed stations, portable and remote, an LDG tuner will match your radio to your antenna using our lightning-fast, proprietary tuning algorithms. LDG is a family-owned and operated company dedicated to bringing innovative, quality products to the amateur market. All LDG products carry a full 2-year warranty that is fully transferable. Support is only a phone call or email away. We're always here to help you. Visit us on the web at ldgelectronics.com.
All right, we're back. And Glenn, you're going to show us your new RTTY reader, right?
This is it, but I'm going to share the screen and show you some better pictures of it. I was hoping to catch the ARRL bulletin tonight, but they didn't play the RTTY one. But this is actually going to receive the radio teletype and display it on the screen right here.
Okay, that's cool, man.
Let me share my screen here. It'll take me a minute to get this up. Have to wait for my computer to figure out what it wants to do.
And while we're waiting for that, just want to say hello to some of the new people in the chat room. I saw KF5FGJ and KN4LYP. I think they're first timers. We welcome you, man. Glad you're here tonight. And I just wonder if there's anybody else in the chat room or watching that we missed.
It's almost there.
Also, while we're waiting on Glenn to pull up some pictures there, let me make an announcement here for all those people listening out there on shortwave. This is Amateur Radio Roundtable. It's all about ham radio. That's the discussion you're hearing tonight. And you're listening to this on WBCQ on 7490. Send us a email. Let us know where in the world you are and how you're receiving the station tonight. You can send an email to tom@w5kub.com. It's Tom, T-O-M, Tom at w5kub.com. We'd love to hear from you. And if you've got internet there, you can join the show live. Just go to w5kub.com on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. All right, we got Glenn back here. Boy, there's some pictures there. Go ahead, Glenn.
All right. This is going to be in the January issue of QST. This is the Dr. Arduino Explorer. And this is basically a full-up Arduino development station. And you've got an 8 LED RGB strip. It's powered by a Nano, or an Uno can go underneath. It's got a prototyping area, but this is kind of a one-stop shop for developing projects. And I use that as kind of the first stage prototyping proof of concept for a lot of my projects. And then this is the RTTY reader. I'm sorry, that's the USB keyboard project going together. I don't have the RTTY reader stuff tonight. But you actually plug a USB keyboard into here, and it will send CW from 5 to 35 words a minute. And then that's what the display on it looks like. And so that's the fully assembled one right there. That thing costs like $20 to build.
That's not bad.
No. And next week I'll have the RTTY reader, but this is it right here. And literally all you do, plug the audio cable in, and off you go. It's got a little 9-volt battery inside and the whole 9 yards. And
well, it looks really good there. And that's not is that an Arduino case? That's just a regular case made for Arduino projects, isn't it?
Yeah, this is Solar Robotics. It's called a Mega Safe. They make one smaller for just the Uno, but I prefer the Megas because they give me room to put a battery inside.
Yeah.
All the other stuff, and everything fits perfect. You can see all the wiring underneath, and there's not a whole lot of wiring to it. And that's the whole project. Cost maybe $20 to build.
Well, that's good. I don't know that commercially you can go out there and buy one for that anywhere. Do they even?
Doesn't MFJ make a RTTY reader?
I'm sure it would cost more than that, but the fun is building it. You know, the fun's building it.
No, there's nothing out there for $20 to do the RTTY.
Yeah.
And,
all right. Well, hey, Glenn, thanks so much, man, for sharing it with us tonight. And maybe next week we can see one of your other projects.
Yeah, next week I'll actually have this, and I'll have some recorded audio. We can play through it.
Okay.
And, the RTTY contest, I think, is coming up the 1st of January.
Okay. Well, that's good timing.
I'm going to have this hooked up to the radio and play with it, because now that the book's finished, I can get back on the air and play again.
Okay. Well, there's a couple questions in the chat room. You can answer William there in the chat. Let's go over to Jason real quick and see. Let's just talk with Jason a while. We've missed him. Jason, are you still there? Or you done gone to sleep on us?
No. I'm listening. I'm reading through the chat, looking at all the questions about the power supplies, and somebody's asking what an Arduino board even was.
Oh, really?
Said,
well, hey,
it's a single board computer similar to a Raspberry Pi, but
yeah. Actually, let's see. Is an Arduino, is that a computer or is that just a?
Hang on, I'll get one.
Wait a minute. What am I thinking here? One of them is not a computer. Maybe the Pi. I think the Pi is a computer. The Arduino is not a computer, is it?
It's a microcontroller with a bootloader, so it's not really a full PC. It's really more of a microcontroller with a couple of accessory chips around it. Whereas the Raspberry Pi is essentially a computer. Hook up a keyboard, a monitor, etc.
Yeah,
this is an Uno. This is an Arduino, and this is the same thing in a smaller package. It's called a Nano. And like they say, it's a microcontroller, whereas the Raspberry Pi is a very small Linux computer. This is a microcontroller. Think of the engine management computer in your car that checks the oxygen coming in and the fuel and controls the fuel mixture and the air and everything like that is done with a microcontroller. So that's what you can do with the Arduino.
Well, I built several of the projects that Glen had in his book. We built the CW reader, the CW keyboard. That was kind of cool to be able to type and send the CW and all that. And you ought to check Glen's books out. He's got quite a few other projects. Well, let's get back to Jason here. Jason, man, we are so glad you're back with us here, man. And
thanks, Tom.
I had a meeting with the board tonight, and we're thinking about trying to offer you double what we were paying you last time when you were on when you left us. I can agree to that. Think you can accept that, man? Okay.
You're only making like 5 times less than Katie now. Is that
right?
Well, and I'm not going to disclose how much, but that might make Katie mad too. I mean, oh man, I shouldn't have even mentioned salary on the show here tonight.
I'll be all right with it. I'm happy to.
Okay, all right.
It's always fun to catch up with everybody.
Well, Katie needs a raise because she's got all these fancy glasses. Don't you have a different color one? You got a different one there?
I do have a few different colors of these, but I thought the red ones were pretty festive.
The red ones are tonight.
I just wanted to give a hello and thanks to all the YouTubers that are out there watching tonight. I see a whole bunch of them in the chat room tonight, so it's nice to see everybody out and about. And I think I saw Josh early on in the show too, and it's been fun trying to catch up. And what
did you say? Did you say you saw Josh in our chat room tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if he's chat.
Yeah.
I didn't see
still
him.
Here,
didn't see him. Okay.
He was right at the beginning, but thanks everybody for being here with us.
Yeah, I for some reason tonight it seems like it's working out better. We've got almost double the attendance tonight that we've been running the last few weeks. But Katie is also back with us tonight, and that might have made a big difference. I had a couple people last week in the chat room when the show started at 8:01. The show started, and at 8:02. I saw the chat room and it says, Katie's not here, so I'm leaving. And they left.
That's just sad.
Yeah, I saw a couple commenting earlier about how many were in the chat, and somebody said, yeah, every time Katie's on the show, there's more people in the chat.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
know.
I can see that.
We may
Yep.
just, hey, what do you think, Jason? I mean, I'm looking for marketing deals here. Maybe we just call the show the Katie Show, Katie Allen
Maybe,
Show.
yeah.
No,
I think you should pay her
no.
double, really.
Yeah,
I think you should pay her
okay.
double.
No, I'm getting like quadruple.
Well, she gets a good vacation and personal time package too, and she gets a lot of benefits from the show here. All right,
I like the flexibility of showing up when I feel like it.
well, that's okay. That's okay. That's the way it ought to be for most of the people here. It's a big commitment, and Jason, you can talk about this. It's a big commitment to have a weekly show and be there every week and try to have something. I mean, how do you handle it, Jason?
Well, losing your job helps. I mean,
Oh,
that's,
boy.
You know, that's
I'm right behind you.
yeah. Well, you know, COVID hit everyone, right? So I was supposed to start a new job in January, and it's still kind of lingering on the horizon, but it's never actually taken off yet because of the way the world is right now. Thankfully, I had a couple of fallbacks that I used, and my wife has an excellent job, so I took the opportunity to try to do YouTube, put a little bit more time and effort into YouTube, and boy, my channel doubled in size throughout 2020.
Oh yeah, I mean,
good.
I was amazed. I watched the numbers, and it just kept going. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, I think and ham radio overall, you know, forget YouTube for just a minute. Ham radio overall saw a huge spike of number of people getting licensed and getting upgrades. Online testing became a reality thanks to Richard and the guys out at hamstudy.org for that. Who's they were the main ones to focus on it, not the only ones. But you know, it's ham radio's really kind of got a really big shot in the arm this year. So I don't wish COVID on anyone. I don't wish that we were all locked down. I wish that we'd get back to life and normal and just forget all this crud and put it behind us. But at the same time, you know, you got to look for the good in everything that happens. So I just say, you know, take the good and roll with it. So I've enjoyed being on YouTube and spending more time on YouTube and seeing my channel grow and interacting with more people on YouTube. I've enjoyed that quite a bit, and I've enjoyed seeing all the new people get licensed and get upgrades and just join ham radio and get on the air. More people on DMR, more people on HF, and I've it's been a good year for ham radio. Again, you know, if we could erase it and start over again, I'd like to do that, but you know, we don't really have that choice. So you might as well look for the good in every opportunity that comes along.
Well, that's great, and we're glad to have you back with us. And see, I'm an old geezer from the old days, so you want to talk tubes? I can talk tubes, man. Yeah. You know, we wander on transformers, we ran tubes and stuff like that. But man, when he gets into things like DMR and all that stuff, you're the man. And we're going to talk a little bit after a while about that. We have this show has a DMR talk group, 31693, and we're not using it. And I'd love for somebody out there, if anybody's listening out there, to volunteer and call maybe a DMR net on Tuesdays for Roundtable. Just like I call the 40-meter net on Tuesdays. I'd like somebody to start using that channel, and let's get some activity on 319 or 31693. What do you think's more popular out there right now, Jason? DMR, D-Star, Fusion? What's the big deal?
You know what? You know, people ask me that all the time. I'm going to write that talk group number down, 31693. People ask me that all the time. It really kind of depends. It depends on what repeaters are in your area. I live in a metropolitan area between Dallas and Fort Worth, and there's one of everything out here. We've got a 10-meter FM repeater. We've got a bunch of 220 megahertz FM repeaters. We've got 900 megahertz FM repeaters. We've got D-Star. We've got D-Star, DMR, YSF. We've got Yaesu System Fusion repeaters that are running full-time digital mode that are not running in AMS mode. We've got a couple of P25 repeaters. So we got a lot of stuff out here, but not everybody has that many options. So I just tell people, you know, find out what's near you, find out what your club uses if you're part of a club, and get on that. I think that for a while DMR was the fastest growing digital mode because there's so many different options available for radios. I think that's still true. I haven't actually looked at those numbers in a while, but you know, with the drop of the 9700 from ICOM and the 705 from ICOM and even the D74 from Kenwood a couple years ago, with all running D-Star, there's been a big push for D-Star here lately too. So, you know, I don't know. I think there's room for everything. So I don't. People ask me which one's going to win, and they think it's a VHS versus Betamax type thing, or maybe for younger folks, HD DVD versus Blu-ray maybe. But
well, I broke down and got one of the DV Megas. I don't know if are you familiar with the DV Mega?
Yeah,
it's the IP radio. It's an IP radio. There's no antenna connection, but it sits like a radio. It's got a volume control on it and a speaker and.
You're talking about the DV Cast.
DV Cast. That's it. That's it. The DV.
The DV Mega is a Pi hat that goes on top of a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, it's the DV Cast. Yeah,
right.
And you know it'll run it'll run D-Star, Fusion, DMR. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to have a repeater anywhere. I guess it's just kind of like going into a hotspot, or it is a hotspot, right? I mean,
yeah, basically it's a hotspot.
So that's pretty cool. So I can talk to anybody. There's nobody out there on our channel to talk to. So we're gonna
I didn't
get
know
this.
You had a channel. I'm putting that in my notes now. I'm gonna go look into that.
Yeah, we'll get this worked out here, and we'll see if we can't get it going there. And I'd love to do that.
Actually, I think the one that's going to win is the guy who can put together a gateway to link Fusion and all the digital modes together and create a gateway for all three.
Well, I don't know what you mean. About a gateway. So this box I've got.
Jason's holding it up. Look.
This DV Cast. This DV Cast I've got. I mean, it will do all three, and it'll scan between all three of them at one time. So it's kind of all in one package, but it gets kind of boring. So I have to I disable like the D-Star or whatever, so you know it doesn't lock the channel up.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the Open Spot 3 from Shark RF, and it will transcode every mode to every other mode.
There you go.
So it's not that they're all together necessarily, but it does transcode every mode to every other mode, so you can use one radio for any mode. There's also a thing called an XLX reflector that will tie stuff together. So there's some talk groups out there on DMR that have D-Star tied into the DMR talk group, or Yaesu System Fusion tied into the DMR talk group. So you can do it. You can do it now. There's a couple different ways to do it, and people have done that. It's fine. It works pretty well for what it is. From what I don't get on those talk groups very often, but yeah, I mean there's definitely people out there doing that sort of thing, since it's all like code and computer driven. And I'm not a coder or programmer. I don't know about any of that stuff, but there's definitely ways to do that if you have the know-how to do it.
So you are now our D-Star, our digital expert on here from this point forward. And because of that, you do get a little extra cash on the side.
Oh, okay. I get a bonus.
Kind of like Combat Day. Okay. So tell me what the difference is. And see, I don't understand any of this. Tell me what the difference is. Our DMR channel talk group. Let me get it right. Our talk group is on Brandmeister. Right. To me, that sounds like a beer or something. What's the difference, man? Am I on DMR or am I not on DMR?
You're on DMR. Yeah, Brandmeister is a network. So the great thing about DMR, I've got a whole presentation on this, so I could talk for an hour and a half. I don't want to take up that much time. The great thing about DMR is that DMR is basically the open source option for digital voice modes in amateur radio today. The D-Star and Yaesu System Fusion are open source to a certain degree, but since Yaesu's big into the Yaesu System Fusion and Kenwood and now a little bit, ICOM and a little bit of Kenwood and D-Star, anybody can make radios for them. But since they're so ingrained in some of the other brands, they didn't start out as open source, but DMR has always been open source from day one. In fact, DMR is a commercial standard. It's not even made for amateur radio. D-Star and System Fusion were made for amateur radio. So they all originated a little bit differently. But the great thing about DMR is that people can kind of do what they want to with it, since it is open source. I'm being very, very general here. There's a lot more to it than this. But Brandmeister is a network. There's another network called TGIF. You can create your own internal network with a C bridge. There's a network called DMR Plus. There's a couple other networks out there, and it's just a way of tying. It's just a way of tying computers. I'm sorry. It's a way of tying repeaters together over the internet, the same way you tie repeaters together over a wide area network. If you worked for a company that had offices in Dallas and offices in Orlando and offices in Dayton, Ohio, you would tie those 3 buildings in their offices together via a wide area network and a virtual private network VPN, and they would be all one part of one virtual network that would have the same type of capabilities with servers and desktops and whatnot, but you wouldn't be able to talk to the guys in another company across town.
So Ron says no Brandmeister in my area at all. So does that mean he can't talk to us?
No, that doesn't mean he can't talk to us, because a lot of the networks will interconnect with one another with their talk groups.
Do you have to do like tricky little codes to connect through? I mean,
usually. Not usually. No, the C bridge is very versatile for connecting talk groups from other C bridges and other networks like TGIF and Brandmeister. Brandmeister is pretty good at that too, but you have to email the Brandmeister admins and request that they do it, and sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. Again, it kind of depends, but no, there's ways to do that. It really depends on what network he's on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we'll talk more about that sometime, but I can tell that you have the knowledge there, man.
Well, you can go out to my channel, find all kinds of videos on DMR 101 and understanding DMR networks. I actually did a presentation at the Tapper Digital Communications Conference in 2018, I think it was 2018, where I gave a presentation understanding DMR networks. It was kind of a 30-40 minute overview of how they all worked and how some of them tied together and some of them didn't. So, but yeah, it's it's grown since then. So several things in that presentation that were true that day, 2 years ago, have changed since then. So, so it's probably time to do some sort of update on that.
All right. Well, while we got everybody together here, I want to just go around the room. I want to ask everybody what their thoughts are about Hamfest in 2021. We'll start with you, Jason. What do you think, man? Are we going to have, the next one that I would normally go to would be Dayton. That would be in May. That's coming up pretty quick, man. What do you think here is going to happen in 2021?
You know what? I got an email first of all, they canceled Orlando, which I was really disappointed with.
Right.
Which was supposed to be like 2 months from now. And then they canceled a couple of our small ones here in Texas in March. I got an email from the Dayton Amateur Radio Club and also from the Greene County Fairgrounds. And because we've got some things we're doing. Well, supposedly I got an RV spot up there this year. They say it's going forward. Now, last year when all this crud started, Huntsville said that the Huntsville Hamfest, yes, we're not going to cancel it unless the city forces us to. And right now they're saying we're good. And then they canceled it. And I kind of heard something similar to Orlando, because a lot of Orlando's outdoors. So they said, hey, we're going to be able to have Orlando because a lot of it is outdoors. Maybe they'll move some more of it outdoors than what they normally have. And then they ended up canceling it too. So, man, I don't know. I certainly hope that Dayton happens. Really, really missed it this year in 2020. It's the first year I haven't been in like 5 years. And I certainly hope it goes forward. And, it's still 5 or 6 months away. So maybe we'll be on the downhill slope of all this mess by then. Who knows? I mean, I don't know.
Well, my personal feeling is, man, there's not a lot of time, and I don't see things getting better fast. Right. And I think even if these Hamfests do have it, I bet you the attendance is going to be low, and people are afraid, I think, to get out to these things. What do you think, Katie? You used to go to all these Hamfests. Are you going to try to continue to go to them?
Not this year, no. Yeah, it's way too early, and I work in public health now. That's my new arena, and we're just getting new information from the CDC. It seems to roll in every week something new about how we're going to start. We're actually starting to get the first batch of vaccines in our little county, but we're getting 60, for our first batch. But we have 7,000 people in our county. So imagine that for the hugely populated cities. It's going to happen, but it's going to take a long time for everyone. And of course, big places like Dayton, you've got international travel and people from all over the countries, and quite honestly, like I didn't realize, with Jason, a lot of people were out of a job this year. And
that's true.
So a lot or have had to severely scale back. A lot of things have been affected. So as much as under normal circumstances, we're able to save up and go to Hamfest and have a great time, but it may not be the case this year, simply because of health issues, financial issues. It may be a case where you have a lot more virtual conventions, and there's still a way to do those. Obviously, people have proven that you can do it, but I know personally I'm not thinking about going to one at all this year, but I'm hoping by 2022, we'll save up and maybe go to Dayton again, just as just for fun. But I think there's still a long ways to go to feel comfortable in crowds for people, and since so many of our ham radio people are fall into the high risk category, we have a lot of older people that are we all know what the ham stats are for ham radio operators.
Very true.
Yeah.
So it's not worth the risk. But if hopefully as more and more people get the vaccine, then we'll be in better shape, and that's how it's going to go. But it's going to take time, that's for sure. So that's my 2 cents for what it's worth.
Alan, you ever been out to Dayton or?
Yeah, I've been to Dayton 3 times, but it's been several years. I haven't been to the new location. But I don't know. It was funny. I was talking about this with my wife today. We were out for a ride, and we figured out if they could put Chick-fil-A in charge of doing vaccinations, we'd all be back to Hamfest in February. So, right. But it's just kind of tough. I mean, you said your county is 7,000 people. I've got almost 45,000 people in the town I live in.
Right.
Almost 8.9 million people here in New Jersey. So it's just so tough to kind of keep that spread down. Then you got a lot of folks out there saying, well, just let people get infected, let the herd immunity take over. But the problem is that puts everybody else who is at risk more at risk, because it just makes it more likely for them to get something. I'm in my upper 50s, and as is my wife, when we spend a lot of time with her parents who are both in their 90s. So we've got to do whatever we can to keep them safe. So as much as I want to go and get back together with everybody, it's tough. I mean, there was a question in there, how are people getting their licenses now? John asked, and I know some of our local groups were doing outdoor, parking lot type of testing sessions this summer. And that worked out well. We had people basically staying in their cars or sitting on a lawn chair in front of their cars and keeping distance that way. But we haven't done anything completely online yet. But it's going to be tough. I mean, I think we just got to get through this. And I don't think things will be cleared up by the time Dayton rolls around. But we'll keep fingers crossed that maybe by the end of the summer we've starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel.
All right. Well. Yeah. Same
we can
here.
All hope for sure.
Yeah. We've been going up there for 38 or 39 consecutive years now. Hadn't missed a year until this past year. But I don't know if it's my old age or what, but it was kind of a rest and a relief not to go this year. I got to rest, But it's a long ways up there. It's about the same for you, Alan. It's about 500 miles for you, and it's about 500 miles for me. It's halfway between us.
Yeah, it was a good 9-10 hour drive, I think, straight through.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard because so many of our ham radio friends who own businesses, rely on the Daytons and the the Huntsvilles and the Orlando's events to make their living. And so, it's really hard because you're obviously balancing the health concerns, but you want, just like your local restaurants or stores, we all want, we want to keep everybody as, functioning as much as possible. So I know it's, a lot of our small business friends in the ham radio world, it's been a real struggle this year. And so it's another reason to hope that things keep continuing to get better.
Well, Glenn, I think the last one you went to, we were with you in Orlando.
Yeah, that was just before everything shut down. We met in the airport. We didn't even know we were on the same flight until we got in the line.
Yeah, I know it, man. And you know what? I went on a cruise that February, right after it. When we came back, Kathy and I were both sick for 6 weeks when we got off that Princess cruise. So we kind of think we might have had something like COVID, but
Could very well.
But, it was tough for a while, but, it finally went away after a couple months.
Yeah.
That's about the time it was just starting to hit everybody just really big,
Yeah. We were worried about it and stuff, but it wasn't really that widespread at that point. But my biggest concern right now, I'm in every high-risk category you got. Heart patient, diabetic, type A blood. I live in Mississippi.
Well, man, hey, why don't, you could get a blood transfusion and change your blood type.
Yeah,
do that, I
with
guess.
my luck. But, and then, you're talking about all the jobs and stuff. And like I've been saying, technically I'm in between jobs, even though my company, is paying me while they're trying to find another contract. But, I don't know if I have to change positions, will I be able to get vacation time off for Dayton? I think a lot of us are in that position as well.
Yeah.
I think with Dayton, the time frame, I think we're getting into the crunch. I don't think they're going to have the vaccines distributed enough and effective enough because there's 2 shots a month apart.
Yeah.
And that's going to put you into January if you could get it today. And right now they said only the healthcare providers and the the frontline folks and the people over 75 are getting it now unless it's an emergency scenario. So
Well, Glenn,
they're not going to get down to me until February or March. And Dayton's in May. You got to make reservations and plans. The international folks. I'm thinking they're probably not going to be able to pull Dayton off this year as much as I would love for them to be able to.
Yeah, well, Glenn, I know down here in Mississippi you got what they call a black market. You could probably find it.
I can buy anything.
You could probably find it vaccine down here. And I'm not sure if it's legit or not, but hey guys, okay, let's move on here. And I want to update you on our balloon on W5KUB-22 and show you what's happening here with it. It's been running very smoothly, I think. Last position when it went to sleep last night, we were over Iraq. And let's see if I can zoom in a little bit there. Let's see. So you can see we're right over Iraq there. And so far, on all of our flights, we've never been shot down yet over Iraq, Iran. We fly directly over Tehran, or whatever the capital is down there, and so we've been lucky. The only thing that's brought us down is thunderstorms. Now we're trying to fly high enough that we're above the thunderstorms, so we're flying at about 44,000 feet right now. But that's where we are right now. If you look at the daylight line, I don't know if you can see it here, we're starting to get into the daylight. So in the next few hours, 22 is going to wake up, and I expect it to be right here where the mouse is. I expect it to be right about the China border. We were flying about 80 miles per hour. So the number of hours since it last was awake till now, and that distance at 80 miles an hour is going to put us almost to the China border. And then it's going to take us almost another entire day to get across China and out into the sea there where we hit Japan. But it's been a nice steady flight. If you look at the flight here, you can see lap 2 is almost following the exact same path that our other flight flew. Now, our other flight made 3 trips around the Earth in 72 days. We made our first trip around the Earth here in 9 days and 12 hours. So it looks like we could average a circumnavigation about every 9 days if we keep this up. One of the nice things about the Hab Hub here, our tracking Hab Hub, I can put the prediction on. So let me turn the prediction on, and you can see the prediction came on here. So all the little the different colored dots, and that's going to show us where we're going to be at different times. And again, that prediction is just about following the highway. That jet stream highway is almost identical. So from where it was last to, if I click at the end out here, the end of the prediction, let's see if I can click on that. Here we go. Let's see.
Tom, is that beaconing Whisper or APRS?
This is a Hab Hub, which is pulled off of Whisper. Which is pulled from APRS. This prediction goes for 80 hours. I just clicked on this right there. It's 67 hours. So 67 hours from where we are now, we'll be right here over the ocean in 67 flying hours. Let me go to APRS. So here it is on APRS. And let me put 7 days in there. That's as long as the tail will go. And you can see on APRS, you can show the last known position. Now it will wake up. It'll wake up in a little while. And again, we should be close to the China border tonight when it wakes up. Now we're using Whisper as our communications platform right here. So you can see this is our Whisper database. All these people receive it and report it. And what we do is, with the help of Bill Brown and his code, we send a second Whisper transmission with a Q call, and that Q call then interpolates into things like voltage, speed, number of satellites, and so forth. So it gives us real good information. So if we click on the balloon here, we're seeing here we were doing 86 miles per hour on the last transmission. Our course was 101 degrees. We were at 43,044, and we've been pretty steady the entire trip around 43,000. It's been very steady. You can see there the voltage was down to 2.0. When it gets that low, we've lost the sun. So. This flight, I think, is running well. We're hoping to beat our 3 laps around the world and do it in record time. So that's kind of the update on KUB 22. Let's see if I got a picture. There's kind of the parts for KUB 22. You can see the entire platform with the solar panels, with the tracker laying on it, and 2 super capacitors. It comes in at 8.4 grams, so that's pretty light. The 20-meter antenna, a 34-foot, 20-meter half-wave dipole, weighs an additional 1.5 grams. So it's pretty light, and there it is in the box. When we took it out to launch it there, the antenna's rolled up on each of the little cardboard tubes there. Here it is testing out in the grass in the sunlight and transmitting. And there's a picture of me in the crew on launch day. This is right before launch. And they got a picture there. Huey, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. That's Louie there on the left. That he actually did a selfie right there. But the ants have they've been working really hard on this for this flight. They've been training. They've done a lot of training with NASA as far as the weightless part and so forth. They've actually done some flights. So we're really interested in how well this flight's going to go off. So that's cool. Hey, is there any questions in the chat room there about balloon 22?
Someone wanted to get one. Where could they get one of those balloons?
Where will they get one?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of different pieces to this. I would say get in touch with Bill Brown. Bill's normally on here.
Yeah. Okay. He's in the chat. He's in the YouTube chat right now.
Yeah, it's Bill. Get in touch with Bill Brown, because Bill will set you up with a tracker that's already programmed. I think he even includes a balloon and everything, and it's ready to go. And you can use, you can easily get the party helium. There's some differences. Party helium will get you, I would suggest for your first flight, get a tracker from Bill, get the balloon from Bill, go out to Walmart or somewhere and get you a small tank of the party helium. Now, the party helium is not pure, and it won't fly as high as hydrogen. Hydrogen will fly a few thousand feet higher. Pure helium will fly higher than the party helium will. But with one of the balloons that Bill provides you and some party helium, you should be able to fly maybe 30,000, 31,000 feet. And, that's not a long-term balloon, although there are some people that have flown that same balloon around the world 5, 6, 7 times. I typically I've tried those type balloons in the past. That's a smaller Chinese balloon, and typically I get about a week out of it, a week flight, maybe 10 days, maybe 20 days. The first balloon we ever launched, Bill launched for us, had the Mylar balloons, and we launched 2 of the round silver Mylar balloons, and it made it all the way to Japan and went down in a storm. We actually watched it go down on the altimeter in the storm, and we saw it go down. We had another balloon, a smaller balloon, the silver balloons like I was just talking about. It went down in Romania. In fact, I had an article in CQ last month, and here's that's not it. Let's see, article in CQ last month, and here's a picture of one of our flights, our previous flights, where the Romanian ham club actually went out in the forest and recovered one of our flights, and they're holding it right there. So that was kind of cool right there. You can see that in CQ magazine if you take it. But I would suggest getting with Bill, get started, fly that. Now, we built our own tracker. This was designed by a friend in Romania, Y03ICT. That's the entire tracker right there, and I got a piece of tape on the antenna. That's the GPS antenna. It's a piece of guitar string, or guitar wire. So this has the GPS on it, the transmitter on it, the processor on it. It's got everything on it. And but we build our own now to try to hold costs down. This thing was quite difficult to get geared up to build. If you notice in my background, right there, you see a microscope, a binocular microscope. The parts on this are so small that we build it under a microscope. And that's the problem with this thing. And it took me a number of times to actually get where I could actually make these things work.
Those parts are about 3 times smaller than a flea.
Yeah, they're pretty small, like a flea. I don't know if I've got let's see, I had a picture somewhere, I think, of the, well, you can't really see it here, but if you look at those tweezers right up there, if you look at the tweezers, a capacitor or resistor is on the end of that tweezer tip, and it's smaller than the tweezer tip. And let me tell you, that's some pretty sharp little tweezers right there. Those are made for working on stuff like this. So Anyway, so go with Bill Brown, WB8ELK. I think he's in the chat room, and get set up, and you will have a lot of fun flying your first balloon, and you might make it around the world. And wintertime is a good time to launch because we're avoiding a lot of the storms. We've done many flights this year during the summer where we get into storms, and some of the storms had cloud tops as high as 45,000, 50,000 feet, and we were only flying at 43,000 feet. So it was difficult to stay out of storms. But wintertime, most all the storms are below the equator. So I think that's why we're flying so well right now, and we're flying so straight. Is the jet streams are just really cool right now and flying straight for us, we fly a much bigger balloon. We're flying the SBS-13. It's an expensive balloon. The balloon itself is about $170, $180, and we fly it with hydrogen. So we have found that hydrogen is actually a little cheaper gas than helium. Helium is a rare gas on Earth. They're not making much anymore. And it's mostly used for medical things. So we use hydrogen. We still have all of our eyebrows and our fingers. So far, no major problems with using hydrogen. Although once a few months ago, we were filling the balloon up in the garage, and we noticed all the hair on our arms started standing straight up, and hair was starting to stand up on our head, and we were starting to get a little worried about that. So, but we've had some great flights with it, and each one is just, you never know when you launch it. And so you can get started relatively cheap. You could probably do a flight by getting like Bill's tracker in a small balloon. You could probably do an entire flight for about $200. That would be your lower end flight. If you want to try to play with the big boys and go for long duration, you would need to use a balloon like the expensive balloon we're using to get that higher altitude. And then you'll probably put $300, $400 in a launch. So start off with the small balloon. You'll have a great time. You might make it around the world. In fact, this winter you may really make it around the world. And
have you ever had one sent back to you, Tom, that you lost that went down?
Well,
somewhere?
we launched and we learned the hard way. And we were told, don't launch when it's cloudy or there's water in the air. And we launched an expensive balloon one day here. The clouds were getting really thick up there, and we launched it. We never heard from it. As soon as we let it go, we never heard from it. Bill copied it, one transmission. It went down about 25 miles from here down in Mississippi. And someone actually found it. And I was able to go recover the tracker. In fact, that tracker is the one we flew to Romania. The balloon, the $170 balloon, was just ripped all to pieces. And the thing is that these things fly with such small lift. Everything is measured in grams. And we'll fly these big balloons with maybe only 6 grams or 7 grams of lift. And you get 7 or 8 drops of water on it, and that weighs 6 or 7 grams. And the balloon will come down. It won't fly. So you need to do it on a sunny day. And when get it on up there and get it up in the winds up there, and then we have fun with it. Again, we're tracking every 10 minutes during the daylight. We're solar powered only, and we get tracking every 10 minutes on our website through APRS and HabHub, and we have tried putting battery instead of the supercapacitors. If on this one you picture, you see the supercaps. The supercaps there weigh about 2.5 grams total. I found some little 240 milliamp hour LiPo batteries that weighed less than that. So we've flown some with 240 milliamp LiPo battery on there. Now, this tracker, the tracker draws about 40 milliamps. So a 240 milliamp battery will actually run you about 6 hours. But there's a catch to that. It only does it when it's warm. When you get up to the altitudes where we fly, when you get up above about 20,000 feet, and I've got a video on this, we did a test here on a workbench. When you get up 20,000 above, your temperature goes down to minus 40 or minus 60 degrees Celsius, and the battery stops working. It won't charge, and it won't put any current out. So it's kind of useless unless you're flying at much lower altitude. So, hey, that's where we are. And Bill says, let's see, Bill's talking about a 90-day balloon here, went around the world 6 times. I think that was one of the smaller balloons. I think one of the records, and Bill can correct me here, I think that one of the SBS balloons, like we're flying, one of the records is one has been up 735 days, and I don't know how many times. I have some friends that are flying some of the balloons, and they've gone silent for like 30 days or 40 days, and then all of a sudden they'll pop back on and be somewhere else. They go up into the Arctic, and maybe where there's no sunlight or whatever, and they just don't transmit. So and then they'll eventually come back out and get down here, and they'll transmit. So there's all kinds of things going on here. And if you're new to Pico ballooning, we use geofencing. And Bill has coded the software for our geofencing that we will not transmit in Yemen, the UK, or North Korea. We don't want to start a war. So when this thing is over North Korea, we don't transmit. We've never been shot down yet, I was going to tell you guys that a black limousine drove up to the house today, and 3 Chinese guys got out and came to the door, but that'd be a tale. I'm not going to tell that. All right. So anyway, that's a story we've got there. I want to talk. Go ahead.
There, Tom.
Do what?
You missed something there.
What was that?
That little board is powered by an Arduino.
That's right. The little board is powered by Arduino, and it's small. And I thought that was going to be the hard one to solder on, and I'm going to try to get you a close up. Yeah, the little white square is the GPS. The little black square is the Arduino.
Yeah.
It's 32 pins, 32 pins on that thing, and they're really close together. But that's actually, that chip is probably one of the easier parts to solder on here.
Yeah, it's one of the bigger ones.
Yeah, yeah.
Ever since you went for the extra couple thousand feet, because you used to fly right around 37, 38,000. And once you got above 40 to about the 43,000 mark, your balloons have had a much better chance going farther. That you had the one that got into circles over Australia and stuff and into the 50,000 foot storms. But and that's the one that went down in the Philippines. We thought we were going to cross the equator and go on down to Australia. Right. It's very rare for a balloon to cross the equator from the bottom up or the top down. But we almost did it, but we crashed. We got sucked into the ocean out there, and that was the end of that one. But we have kept, because we've had some great support on the show here. We've had a lot of people that help support us for these flights, and I'm guessing we probably launched 10 or more flights this year in 2020, and most of them have been the big balloon, the high cost. So yeah, you can figure, even with me building these, we might have maybe $250 per flight. So we probably have flown maybe $3,000 worth of flights this year, with the help of all of our viewers out there and people that have helped contribute to sending those up. And
we've had a lot of fun with it, and we'll keep doing it as long as people want to.
I mean, it's kind of like watching an aquarium. You know, I love pulling it up and watch it. You know, see where it is today, what time it woke up, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, it's going to wake up here in a little while. Let's see, it's 9:40. I imagine in about 2 hours it might wake up. It's going to be near China, I guess. You know, one of the next things I want to do, I want to launch two of them, and at the same time, and maybe launch one with the round 36-inch Chinese balloon, and one with the silver Mylar balloons, and see if they'll kind of stay together, you know, as they go up. I don't know, they'll probably get separated by thousands of miles at some point, but let's just see if we can fly them together. I thought about taking a piece of thread and kind of tying them together, you know, like 500 yards apart or something. You know,
I was just going to suggest that, but
keep them together.
One would pull the other too hard and probably tear it.
I don't know. And you know, you know, we have had some good wind. We've been up in speeds of 250 miles an hour on this last balloon, and we've been down in the 60 miles an hour. I think the last we were at 89 miles per hour. But you know, I don't know if anybody really knows how these things float. You got your balloon up here, and then with 17 feet below, we've got the solar panels here. And this thing's moving at 250 miles an hour, but it's all kind of moving together. So in theory, it's kind of hanging below, you know, and it's all moving kind of together, you know. So I personally think that since the balloon has more surface area and the tracker's much smaller, I kind of think that possibly the balloon may be moving a little bit faster and this thing may be trailing just a little bit. That's my theory, but I'm not an expert in that, and no one yet has been able to go up there and watch these things, so we don't know, you know, what it's going to do.
No, you'd need a massive wind tunnel to simulate all that.
Well, yeah, wind tunnel, but if you turn it loose, it'll be at the end of the wind tunnel in a second. I mean, I don't know, man. Alan might be able to figure out how we can measure that.
Oh no, the mice ain't talking, I guess. Huh?
The what?
The mice aren't talking to tell you how that balloon's flying.
Yeah, the ants. Ants.
That's it.
We don't have mice on there. We have ants.
Okay.
All right. And they're doing a good job on this one. They're doing a good job. Let's see what Bill says. Yeah, Bill's been doing the balloon race at Dayton Hamvention for a few years, and we launched. I think the last year we launched one with Bill there in the race at Hamvention. I think 4 balloons were launched, and the Dayton, I think it was the Dayton Amateur Radio Club launched 3, and we launched 1. And I took our friend astronaut Wheelock out. He was with us on that trip, and I thought, how much better can you get to have an astronaut launch our balloon? Because, you know, we want to win this race, you know. So we go outside, and we've got the small balloons that Bill's put together, and these suckers, they're flopping in the wind like the wind's like 80 miles an hour, man. And so we go out, and our strategy was, let's watch everybody launch first. Let's see how it goes, and then we launch last. So the first one went up pretty good. The second one went up really good. Third one went up. And then astronaut Wheelock, he's in command of, I don't know, W5KUB-11, whatever it was. He launches it. It goes up, and then it does a kamikaze dive, like that, and it hangs around an RV mirror. So we go get it, untangle it. We come back. He launches it again, and it's taking off. It's just kind of going off slow. But as he's holding it, man, the wind is flopping it like this. I mean, it's going crazy. So anyway, so he lets it go. So we're taking off. We're not getting a bunch of altitude. And guess what? Downfield, there's a power pole and a power line. All right. So here goes the balloon, and it grabs the power line, and it wraps around it. Well, And I was watching Doug, and I've got a video of this if you guys want to see it. When it wrapped around, Doug puts his hands on his head, goes, "Oh no!" And then I saw Doug go like this, and it unwrapped. It unwrapped and it took off. And then I think all the balloons made it out. You know, by that evening, all the balloons made it out over the ocean there past New York, and then I think basically we lost all of them. So we lost them all out there. So, but anyway, it was fun. So,
let me tell you something about those Mylar party balloons and power lines and power transformers.
Yeah.
They're metal.
Yes.
Years ago, back in Florida, there was a balloon that was let go, and it wrapped into the power lines and slid up the pole right to the transformer. And we took out power for a couple blocks.
There's some videos on YouTube of kids turning party balloons, those Mylars loose, and boy, you hear some terrible humming. You know, and I'm talking about flashing, and the city goes dark, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You think about it. You throw an aluminum foil up in the air, and it wraps around stuff and shorts everything. And yeah, you got to make sure you clear those power lines. Yeah,
yep, sure do. All right, hey, just real quick, guys, and let's. Any thoughts? Well, I'd like to get a DMR net together. Let's talk about this before everybody goes away. First of all, I'd like to get a DMR net going. So if anybody out there has DMR and would like to help us out, we'd love to have you as a part of the show, and you can call a DMR net for us, and like on Tuesdays, and then we'll report and show how the net went that night, you know. So let's talk a little about our change here to our program format here. You notice we changed a little bit tonight. I haven't seen any really negative comments. I think everybody is accepting it well. I expected all the old IRC guys to really get mad at me because, when you're an IRC guy, you're an IRC guy, you know. Anyway, so we made the change for a couple reasons. First, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we never have marketed our show as a YouTube channel. We've never branded it as that. And for the last 60 years, we branded the show as a W5KUB.com brand. Well, some of our research basically showed us that maybe we're losing viewers because of that. And also, I had a pretty messy landing page for the video. If you remember, we had the video there. It wasn't very big, and then we had click here for the chat room, and you had to log in and all that stuff. And the chat was about as big as the video. And so by going this route that we're going now, if you'll notice, I think you'll notice that the video is much larger. It's almost 2/3 the size of your screen. And the chat is small, so that's one advantage. And I looked at some video that I did the last couple of days, and I think it really looks good. The quality looks good, and the video is nice and large. So that's one advantage. Another advantage is, of course, I had a lot of people tell me, I'm trying to watch you on the phone, but I can't get in a chat room, or I can only do one or the other. I can get in a chat room, or I can see the show. Well, the YouTube app is really nice, and I played with it on the telephone yesterday. It's beautiful the way it puts the show at the top and the chat room below it, and you can do both at the same time. So that's another advantage. Another advantage that we see is that the login is very simple now. In fact, people here know that when they came on the channel, they didn't have to do anything. They were automatically logged in. Now, you do have to have some type of Google account. That could be a Gmail account, a YouTube account, anything. If you got anything tied with Google, it knows you and will log you in directly. Now, can you change your name? Well, you can, but you'd have to go to your Google account and change your name on your Google account. So another advantage we have is that the chat room is with the video and it follows the video. Tomorrow or next week or next year, if someone watches the video, they could actually read the chat on the side there. Now, we may not always be talking about the show, but at least that would be a record of the chat during the show. So that's good. Now, so there's a lot of advantages there that I see. The only disadvantage I have right now is this guy here. We're going to have to retire this guy right here.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about him.
And we're going to have to retire. We're going to have to retire Hambot. Now, Hambot was actually in-house, coded and built over a period of several years that did everything from a database of all our prizes. He picked random names. He knew if the prize was for international or domestic. He did the timer. If you said I'm here, Hambot knew that you came in under the time, or if you came in over the time, Hambot said you didn't win. And since this is not Tom, you can't argue with me, which was nice. And so Hambot did a lot for us, but we're not going to be able to use Hambot anymore since this is not an IRC chat room. But things do change. So, I'd like to just hear from people in the chat room tonight. If you have any positive comments, I'd like to hear from those, especially how you think the chat went tonight. To me, I think it looks pretty good. We don't have quite as much moderation capabilities, but we have enough. So
it looks like most of the comments were good. The only comment I'd make about changing your name is that you can actually create another YouTube login that's separate from your Gmail. So if you didn't want to change your name on your Gmail, you could just log in, because the W2 AEW that I use for my YouTube channel is not the same username that I have for my Gmail account.
Right.
So you can have separate ones and just use it for YouTube, and then put your ham radio call sign on it that way. But it looks like most of the comments were all good. The only negatives were the whole naming thing. So that might be a way around that.
So hey, Alan, maybe a short segment that you can help us with one day is maybe you could lay out the 3 or 4 or 5 steps on how to change that name, because I know it seems complicated to people.
Well, let's see. I did it about 12 years ago.
Oh, okay.
I can figure out how to do it again.
All right. Well, I won't put you on the spot then. We'll put Jason on the spot.
Yeah.
Do you know how to do it, Jason? You know how to change a name?
Well, I know how to go in. Yeah. I mean, I know how to go in and change. You can create what's called a branded account underneath your regular Gmail account and name that branded account over something. So basically, you can have multiple YouTube accounts under your same Gmail login.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay. Well, see, that scares me. I didn't want to do anything, because if I do something wrong, the show goes into never, never, la la land, and I can never find it again.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's just, people want to change their name, and it's fine. But you're just seeing people's YouTube, whatever either their YouTube name is if they have a YouTube channel, or just their Gmail name if they're just logged into YouTube with their Gmail address. But however you want to do it.
Well, I'm looking here. Katie must have done it right, because right there, Katie WY7YL. Look at it.
Right.
Just perfect.
Well, that's my Gmail account. So if you go to my QRZ page and want to send me an email, it's my KDWI7YL at Gmail. Mm-hmm. And so I use that one when I watch my ham radio shows, because as I made a comment in here, I mean, for a lot of the people that are in the chat room tonight and watching, they're already watching a lot of the YouTube shows and chatting live. So this is pretty much the normal modus operandi for people.
Yeah, so. and wasn't it simple? Kate, you didn't have to do anything. You just came to the page and you were in.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, like you said, you can go back and choose to watch the video at another time and look at the chats, or you can just hide the chats if you don't care about looking at them. A lot of times it's like, especially if you're watching an instructional video, or, you're going to Jason's page to watch his review of something, and if it's one that he's done during a live show versus a recorded, personally, I don't necessarily care about reading what's in the chat, because I want to just hear what he's got to say, but it's an option. So it's, like I said, it's just one of those things that most people are used to nowadays. So I think it's a really nice change. And I've done that too on nights that I haven't been on the show. I've tried to watch, say, on my tablet or phone, and, I can't do both with chatting and what have you. So I'm really happy for this change. I think it'll be really good.
Okay, well, and the
I'm
only
just looking at like YouTube itself, like all the way up in the upper right corner, where it typically has the icon for your ID, and you click on that. It brings up a thing that says switch account.
Yep.
And then if you select that, you can, if you have multiple accounts that have got YouTube presences, they'll show there. And then there's an option to add account. So that would add another YouTube account. And you can just create one that's got your call sign as a name. Even if you never put any content up or anything like that, it just becomes your YouTube name, and then that'll show up in the chat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, for those that have their name instead of their call letter, I think you're still okay. I mean, they don't have to have their calls on here.
No, it's nice to just be able to know who you're chatting with.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people in here we know by their name because they've been in our chat on the show for years, so we know who they are. Or they're, somebody, one of the regulars that we know, or someone from a, who's,
All
like
right,
Ron
well,
Kritzman's in there. We know Ron, so.
There's my son's on there, Chris, AC5CM.
Yep.
Chris said, I created a new account for this, not a big deal. So maybe he can write up a 4-step procedure and post it in our Facebook group. Let me tell everybody, please join our Facebook group. If you haven't, we've got our Facebook group. It's got over 11,000 hams in it. That's where you're going to get all the good information. Also, we got to do shack pictures again soon. So Katie, you have some shack pictures to talk about. Send us your pictures to our Facebook group, and you'll see them on a show one night. Let's see. Oh, just one thing. Normally, I edit off the music, the first 30 minutes of music on the show on our YouTube channel. If I do any editing, we do lose the chat. We do not have the chat. So that's one of the bad things. So either I'm going to have to leave the music on there on the YouTube channel, and just everybody has to know they're going to have to, scroll in 30 minutes for the start, or I'm going to have to figure out how I can stop the video 3 minutes before the show starts, and then restart it and start up a new stream. And then, of course, that may cause problems where people don't get logged back in or don't start back up. And if I'm off just a short time, it hooks those back together, and it thinks it just dropped out for a second. So we're going to work all the issues out here. If you're listening on WBCQ, send us an email to tom@W5KUB. You've been listening to Amateur Radio Roundtable, which is a show about ham radio, and we'd love to have you join our Facebook group at W5KUB, or join our show on Tuesday nights at W5KUB.com at 9 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday nights. Or if you're a YouTube guy, just look for W5KUB. So just last comments on changing. So we've back to why we changed. We're trying to make the show a little bit better. We're trying to get more in touch with our viewers out there. I noticed tonight our chat room was, or our viewers were almost double what a show normally has. These changes may have done something to that. So we're going to keep building on it each week. I want to thank everybody for joining us. It's time to go. 73 to everybody out there listening on the radio, and join us next week. And let's see, let's get everybody in here let's see if I can get everybody. How do I do this? I think I click right there. Yeah, there we
Merry
go.
Christmas,
all right,
everybody. Happy
Merry
Hanukkah.
Christmas.
Yeah, we'll say 73 to everybody out there watching, and we'll see you next week. We're going to have a show next week. Nothing planned. We may just get on here in our Santa Claus hat or something. Katie, wear some kind of Santa Claus clothing next week.
This is the best I could do as my shirt, but
Well-
next week it's my birthday and Glen's birthday, so maybe we should just have a birthday
Oh,
party.
Well, what we should do is start the party on New Year's Eve,
Right.
and let it carry over to the end of New Year's Day.
There
Yeah.
you go, perfect.
All right, everybody out there, hey, subscribe.
Right.
Subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the
Yeah.
subscribe
That
button. I
subscribe
want to see if I can get some subscribes tonight. That's one of the reasons for making this change. So we'd like to see what we've been missing all these years. Please hit the subscribe button down here. Thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you later. And we'll close that with a little video here of Glen and his cats.
So you're saying I can ask this cat?
Mr. Photo bombed earlier. Be a mess if you ever see Godzilla come in here. Godzilla's about twice her size.
You're the man.
He was
I've been looking for this for weeks.